Hey friends, I'm back in my happy place in St. Lucia. Okay, so someone asks you what you actually want, and I don't mean your next career move or where you see yourself in 5 years. I mean what you actually genuinely want from your life right now. And so you kind of freeze up. Maybe you laugh it off. Maybe you give a polished answer, but inside there's this moment where you think, I'm not really sure that I know what I want. And here's what I want you to hear before anything else. That's not a you problem. That is not ingratitude or some sign that you're falling apart or anything like that. That is what happens when you spend years being really excellent at knowing what everyone else needed from you and not so much else. So that's what we're getting into today. Four questions, and they're not easy questions, but they're the right ones. Been trying to give you guys these frameworks to help. Here's the thing about corporate life that nobody really talks about. It's an incredibly effective training program for knowing what's expected of you. You get good at reading the room. You learn what ambition is supposed to look like at your level. You figure out what a good answer sounds like in a performance review, what gets you promoted, what gets you noticed, what keeps you safe, especially if you're a person of color. You become fluent in external signals. And that's a real skill. It got you here, and I'm not being dismissive of that. But there's this other signal that's quieter, it's slower. It tells you what you actually want, not what makes sense on paper, not what looks impressive, what you specifically want from your one life. And when you spend years not needing that signal, when every decision is already being made based on what the role requires or what the next level demands, that internal voice gets quieter and quieter until one day someone asks you what you want and you open your mouth and you're not sure what comes out. It's not a crisis. It's just where you are in this moment. And it's actually a really honest place to be starting from. I just want to say one more thing before we really get into the questions because I think that it matters. The woman who spent 15 years building a career by being excellent at what everyone else needed, she's exactly the woman who sits down in the quiet one day and realizes she doesn't know what she'd choose if no one was watching. That's not a failure. It's an honest come to Jesus moment, and an honest moment is the only real place to start. So, if you came into this episode hoping I'd hand you a clear answer, I can't do that. Nobody can. What I can do is give you a way to start finding it yourself. Four questions, they go deeper as you go, and they're not meant to be answered in one sitting. They're meant to be sat with, returned to, allowed to breathe, because your answers will shift. Okay, so let's go. Question number one. What have you stopped letting yourself want? Not what you want right now, not what feels realistic. I'm asking about something older than that. What did you used to want before you filed it under unrealistic? Before you decided a person in your position doesn't pursue that kind of thing that you quietly set aside? This could be a creative thing, a different pace for your life, maybe work that felt meaningful in a way um, that your current job just doesn't. A version of your life that looked nothing like what anyone planned for you. You didn't lose those things. You just got very busy and very practical and you put them somewhere safe. And then You forgot to go back for them. You left them there. This question is the going back. Now, question number two. What do you do when no one is watching and nothing is required of you? I mean this literally. Sunday morning, nothing on the calendar, no one needs anything from you. What do you reach for? Not what you think you should do, not what looks productive or healthy or like something a well rounded person does. What do you actually do? Because that answer is information for you. It's telling you something about who you are underneath the role, underneath the calendar, and the title, and the performance of a person who has it all figured out. Most high achievers like us have genuinely never answered this question because there's almost always something required of them. A pause creates the space to actually find out, which is that's just kind of the whole point of this whole podcast of everything. Question number three. What would you pursue if you had already had enough? Okay, this one is designed to do something specific. It's designed to temporarily remove the income justification that's driving most of your current choices. I'm not asking you to ignore money. I know it's real. I know you have actual obligations. So do I. But just for the length of this question, what if that part was already handled? What if the financial piece was solved? What would you do with your time? What would you build? What would you stop doing immediately? Most people have never asked themselves this question without the constraint sitting right there. And when the constraint is removed, even hypothetically, the answers tend to get very honest very fast. That honesty is pointing at something, and I want you to pay attention to it. Question number four. What has this chapter cost you that you'd like back? This is my favorite one because it completely reframes what a pause is for. It's not about what you're running away from, it's about what you're going back for. What got left behind during this chapter? A relationship with your own creativity, real rest, a version of yourself that you actually liked spending time with, something you set down temporarily and never picked back up. A pause isn't a retreat, it's a retrieval. And this question tells you what you're retrieving, which gives you the whole thing, a direction, not just like this escape hatch. That's not what we're trying to build. So here's the honest thing that will give you some clarity. Clarity doesn't show up because you thought hard enough. It doesn't come from one good journaling session or one honest conversation with a friend or one episode of a podcast or YouTube episode. It comes from asking the right questions without rushing to a tidy answer over time. The four questions I just walked you through, they're not a one time thing. They're something to return to, something to sit with on a Tuesday and again on a Saturday and notice if the answer shifts because it will. And the shifts are telling you something. And if you're at the point where you've done some of that reflection and you're ready to turn it into an actual plan, um, figure out what to pursue first, what to put on the back burner, what to let go of entirely. I made something for that because that was my challenge. It's called the fast track prompt. It's in the description. It walks you through the whole thing step by step in whatever AI tool you already use. It's not free, but I think it's really good. And if you're not there yet, start with reflection. Always start there. So, if any of the questions that I shared brought something up for you, even just a flicker of something, you can grab the free journaling prompts to start first. They're in the description. It's 5 prompts. They're totally free, built exactly for this moment when you just know something needs to change, but you don't quite have the words yet. That's where this work starts. And that link is below also. Like I mentioned, the fast track AI prompt is also in the description if you're ready to go further. Paid resource, worth it, built for when you're done reflecting and ready to actually map out what comes next. You haven't lost what you want. You've just been too busy performing what everyone else needed to hear, or needed you to do. You need some quiet. Quiet isn't the problem. Quiet is where your answer is going to live. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Like I mentioned, I am back in my happy place in St. Lucia. And next week, we'll give a personal update about what is going on in St. Lucia. Bye.